Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, is the space pirate himself, Josh Finney.
Ugh, Corey, it's been an exhausting week.
Yeah, and it's only Thursday.
It's only Thursday, but it has been an exhausting week. I've been getting over being sick, and I got real tired about this time last week. Got real sick about this time last week, and the sickness has finally mostly left me, but this has been the busiest week I've had in a very long time, for various reasons. Some fun, some definitely not fun. I've had to fix both of our cars in the last week. We had a family emergency come up over the weekend. Obviously, the Crota race, and a little game called Starfield dropped that I am fervently working my way through for a special episode on Xbox Casuals on Monday.
Ooh, very special.
Very special. So blowing through as much of that, but enjoying as much as I can at the same time, and it's been a challenge.
So which set of advice did you take? Did you blow through the campaign and then do New Game Plus, or are you just kind of playing?
So I did a lot of exploring. And I did a bunch of side questing. I did like an entire side plot. Worked my way back to the campaign. I hit a part in the campaign where I finally got super invested in the story.
Yeah.
Which is a few missions in, but there is a particular mission you do in the campaign. You go on a mission with the old man who's part of Constellation, Walter. Mm-hmm. You go to Neon with him. And Neon, I think, is the coolest location in the game, personally. It reminds me a lot of Cyberpunk. Mm-hmm. I really enjoy it. It really feels like what a futuristic Fallout City would feel like, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You go there with him, and the events that happen in the city and when you leave are outstanding. That's the moment where the main story really took off for me. And then, because I would consider that to be like probably the outset of Act 2, is that. Maybe end of Act 1, beginning of Act 2, and then I think just from there, the game, it ramps up a little bit. It gets a little bit better after that. Act 2 is probably a lot of exploring, I would say. Yeah. Act 3 is all action. I love Act. I think the ending to Act 2 and all of Act 3 is fascinating.
Yeah.
I've probably put about 26, 27 hours in the game so far. We may be higher. I may be higher than that at this point, but I have seen the credits. I have rolled credits. I have started New Game Plus. I'm not playing on my New Game Plus account though. I played a little bit, and I actually found myself going back to my original save.
Huh. Interesting.
I will probably so this is the most unique New Game Plus I've ever played. It actually it's not marketing bullshit. It does feel like a brand new game. For reasons I can't get into here because it's spoiler filled, I'll give some of my thoughts on Monday as to why it's so different. I would advise people not to blow through it. I would take your time, enjoy the playthrough that you're on, because it's going to be a totally unique playthrough. Because New Game Plus is going to be different for you. Yeah. It's going to be totally different. You're going to have different dialogue choices, different things can happen, etc. There's one moment in particular in the campaign that can drastically be changed. For the better or for the worse, when you do New Game Plus. That is the part that really intrigues me, is that I can go back and change certain things. Yeah. So I might do that. I haven't quite decided. I do like in New Game Plus, they give you the option if you want to do the entire campaign over again, or if you just want to do a shortened version of it. Which is nice. It's really nice. And you understand it's because they want to get you back out there exploring. Yeah. New game does allow you to carry over you cannot change your traits between games either. Your character is who you are in New Game Plus. Yeah. You keep the same character, you keep all your stats. You lose all your items, ships, and money though. And that's
ships is interesting.
Infuriating that you lose that stuff. That's part of the reason why I went back. I'm going to be completely honest. I have a small fleet of ships. I have like 6 ships.
Did you make the Millennium Falcon?
I did not. I'm really bad at designing ships in this game, we found out. But I did do a quest, a side quest you get from a Constellation member.
Ooh.
where he hires you to do R&D for his spaceship line. And you go in there and you get to control the board, essentially, which is really cool.
Ooh.
You have to gather data for them. And I made the most overpriced, expensive ship I possibly could with all the bells and whistles. This thing's like a fucking tank in space, Corey.
Nice.
I then found out I was not able to pilot it because my piloting was level 1 of 4, and you have to be 4 of 4 to fly this thing. So it had to sit there for like another 10 levels while I was leveling up my my piloting skills. You level up piloting by destroying spaceships. So I did it the honorable way and hunted down pirates for part of it, and then said fuck it and Googled a cheese and went and cheesed it in a simulator afterwards.
Nice.
There's been some awesome side quests. The Batman side quest is really cool.
Batman side quest.
There's a Batman side quest. There's a hidden side quest in the game. Not really hidden, but it's completely at random, apparently. You will kill a space pirate at some point, and if you're searching their bodies, you'll find a note on one of them at some point that'll talk about a secret lair of a guy called the Mantis, who is like this legendary bounty hunter, and it's basically fucking Batman.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very cool. The Freestar Rangers quest line is really fun. I enjoyed that. There's been some other side quests that I'm just like, wow, I'm like all in on this. And like those side quests will have consequences for your larger game. I saw somebody tweeting about it today. They were sure they were going to get blasted. They were super weak. They were trying to land, but they had contraband on their ship. And the ship that stopped them to scan them let them go because it was someone they had saved in an earlier quest.
Oh.
And I thought that was just such a cool little addition to the game. Like I've had a moment like that also. It's a special game, man. I kind of summed it up yesterday in another Discord that I'm in and on Twitter, but it takes a little while to get going. The story it's definitely a bit of a slow burn at first.
Yeah.
I do not recommend blowing through it. I recommend getting to a certain point, force your way through the first like 4 or 5 missions, get the main crew assembled essentially.
Yeah.
And then just the game kind of opens itself up and the main quest urges you to go explore.
Yeah.
At that point, I would start exploring. I'd do side quests. Come back eventually to quote unquote finish Act 1. Act 2 is almost all emphasis on exploration. And the result at the end is a pretty big love letter to explorers, to the people who ask questions, to people who want to know like what's out there, like what lies beyond, like what's beyond what we can see with our own eyes. It ends up being maybe my favorite Bethesda campaign, which is really weird because it starts out so fucking slow that I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to like this.
Yeah.
Genuinely, like the first 2 or 3 hours, I was like, oh boy, this is a lot. You hit a moment real early in the game though. And I'm not going to spoil anything that's, not 15 minutes into the game, but you touch the artifact.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the moment that I was like, oh, yeah, I'm in on this. Yeah. I knew I was in when that happened. And then I didn't really get to play around with that like hard sci-fi part of it for quite a little while. Once you start getting into that and you start investigating the mystery of the artifacts, that's really what Constellation is ultimately.
Yeah.
The Constellation storyline. It ends up being, and I know results are going to vary wildly on this. To me, it was a really beautiful sci-fi story about, like I said, about exploration, about asking the question, why, why are we here? What are we doing?
Yeah.
And ultimately about like this little ragtag crew. I have my own complaints about the companions in the game. I think that honestly, I think most of Constellation kind of sucks. The more interesting characters are the ones that you cannot have in your party.
Yeah.
But I will say I really love Sam. I think Sam's an awesome character. Especially as you learn about, you'll eventually learn about his family and whatnot when you get him on the crew. And if you take him along on the Freestar Rangers quest, since he used to be one, I think that adds a whole nother dynamic to those quests.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah, I've seen a lot of memeing about how bad Sarah is. I would urge you to keep playing with her. Her similar to Fallout 4, there's loyalty quests.
Yeah.
Similar to Fallout 4 and Mass Effect, there's like loyalty quests that take them from being your crew to being quote unquote friends and or lovers. And in my playthrough, I did marry Sarah.
Ooh.
There's only 4 romance options, and you get introduced to all 4 of them pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Which feels really small in the vast infiniteness of space, but I suspect DLC is gonna add a lot more.
Yeah.
Her quest, I think, is her follower quest, I think, is really beautiful. And hers is the only one that I did. I genuinely did not do the other ones. So I really enjoyed it. I think, your mileage will drastically vary depending on how. This is the ultimate game of you get what you put into it, though, I think.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be for everyone. I've seen some people say, man, I don't like it because I was expecting a AAA No Man's Sky. And I can't tell you how happy I am that this is nothing like No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
If it was like No Man's Sky, I wouldn't be playing it. Instead, what I think you get is Bethesda, in my opinion, Bethesda's best game since Oblivion.
Ooh.
And I would argue that it's the best main quest since Oblivion, maybe that they've ever done, or maybe that they've ever done. I think Oblivion is the only Oblivion, and maybe Fallout 3 can kind of stand shoulder to shoulder. The problem with Starfield is it starts out so slow that it's almost on the level of Fallout 4's ending instead.
Mm-hmm.
Because I actually really love Fallout 4 for the most part, just the ending is so bad. No matter which ending you chose, it's bad. And I kind of feel like with Starfield, the reverse is true. Like, when you get to the end of the Constellation storyline, it's like, wow, I actually think this is like really good sci-fi. There's a writer, I'm not going to say the writer's name. You can go find it if you want to. Who writes over at Prima, who was like, I'm like 75% of the way through this game, and I pretty much fucking hate it, was essentially what he said over the course of like 4 or 5 tweets. And basically was like chastising anyone who enjoys this or who got up in arms over this game getting a 7 out of 10. Go play better games, watch better movies, read better books. And I think that's one of the most childish reactions I've seen to this game. I do think there's a lot of childish reactions around this, maybe more than any AAA game I can ever remember.
Yeah. There's a lot of
on all sides of it. It's really bad.
Yeah.
The fanboys are dug in, and the people who already don't like Bethesda games are like entrenched now.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey man, you didn't like it. That's cool. You don't have to go take a shit on everyone who is enjoying it, which, as we found out today, 6 million people have played this game already. That is an insane number, no matter how you look at it. That's like Grand Theft Auto numbers.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so curious to see what the sales numbers are going to be for this game and what the subscription numbers are going to be, how many hours. Phil Spencer announced last night that they had eclipsed 1 million players at one time in game.
Mm-hmm.
The servers were so slammed when early access started that it took like 45 minutes to get in, at least. Game Pass was going down repeatedly on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Cloud gaming is taking like 45 to 50 minutes just to log into cloud gaming right now.
Yeah.
Because so many people are playing Starfield. The upgrade, the $35 Game Pass upgrade, sold so well in the UK that it charted at number 7 for last week.
Jeez.
Just for an early access code in a box.
Yeah.
Steam hit 250,000 concurrent players, which isn't a lot when you think about like Baldur's Gate, but that is pretty big for a Bethesda game on the platform.
Yeah.
And on top of that, that was all early access. In Steam, you'll have the option to, I'm playing it with my Game Pass sub. That was people who paid $100 or $300 for the game.
Right.
So no matter which way you look at it, I mean, it's got like an 88 on Metacritic. This game's a massive success.
Yeah.
And I think for Microsoft, it really validates why they wanted to buy the company. Todd's given some really good interviews over the last week. He's written some pretty thoughtful letters that have gone out to fans and to the people who work at Bethesda and Xbox. And yeah, the result is probably the most important and probably the best IP that Microsoft's created since Gears of War.
Yeah.
I already want to know what they're going to do with a sequel, and it pains me to know that I'll be in my 40s by the time I play another one of these.
You might be older than that.
I might be older than that. But I want to leave it with one final thought here. 6 million players is wild. Now imagine what that's going to look like in 3 to 4 years when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. An established IP, because this is a brand new IP.
Right.
And imagine when that, as an established, beloved IP, one of the best-selling games of all time in Skyrim, one of the most acclaimed series of all time in Elder Scrolls, releases ES6, 17 years after Skyrim. An entire generation will have been born and gone off to college in the time that we've been waiting for another Elder Scrolls.
Yep.
I think Phil was onto something. Phil said at Gamescom that he feels that Starfield is going to have the kind of life that Skyrim does. And I got to say, I think he's right. I want to see what the DLC plans are going to be. The modding community is already hard at work. I can't wait. This is one of those games. Like, that's kind of why I went back to my other save, is because thinking about using my new game plus as the one I do with all my mods, and like I go do modded quest lines and planets and things like that. But I think I want to play the DLC with the crew that I already have.
Yeah.
With the relationships I built with the ship I have, things like that. I did name my character Han as a tribute to both Han Solo and Han from the Fast and the Furious. He looks like Han from the Fast and the Furious.
Ooh.
I may have named my ship the Tokyo Drifter.
Oh, of course you did.
I did.
Oh my god.
I did. It's great. It's fantastic. Vasco is being held captive on my ship. He's not allowed to leave.
Vasco.
He's there to haul more loot for me around. That's the only time he's allowed to leave the ship. It's been a great time though. I'm gonna leave us there. My Starfield soliloquy is over. 15 minutes into the show, but I've had a lot of people ask me about my take on Starfield. That's like my quick 15-minute I think rundown on that, like the state of how the game is performing. Like I said, a lot more spoiler-filled thoughts coming on Monday's Xbox Casuals. We're going to be talking about Starfield for a really long time to come. Not on this show, but like as an industry, this game is going to be talked about and debated about for years.
Yeah. Plus, like, think how big the game is and how, like, what people will find as, and like, I bet in like something like 3 years or 5 years, they'll be like, somebody found a planet that nobody found before, and look what they found.
Yeah, there's definitely some wacky things, and I've started seeing that like a lot of people's playthroughs are different because where certain things are generated at random on some of these unpopulated planets.
Yeah.
And that's really fascinating to me. Some of the clips that we've seen are hilarious. The person who stored 2,000 potatoes in the cargo hold, that's hilarious. But that shows like the physics that are at work, right? The CNBC interview, if people have missed it, with Todd Howard and Phil Spencer, or excuse me, it was on Bloomberg, with those two. There were audience questions that could be answered, and one of the ones that they got a lot apparently was why did you not optimize the game for PC? And Todd really takes a deep breath and he goes, "We did. You just need to upgrade your PC."
Yeah,
I saw that. I saw a complaint on Reddit today. Somebody was saying how they had a 4090 and the game runs like shit. And people were like, "What's your CPU?" And the CPU that they provided was like a 2016 CPU. And we were like, "Oh God." They're like, "So you had money to go buy a 4090, but not to upgrade your CPU." Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. But yeah, so I can't wait, man. I can't wait. That was a really busy weekend though, trying to get through Crota because I was enjoying Starfield so much.
Yeah.
I guess that's where we should go next. We have a lot of questions about Crota. I want to apologize to everyone. I promised a pod this week for Crota's End. Joasis and I did record it. I misedited that thing twice this week. And I just was like, okay, I'm going to take a break. And I closed my laptop and then kind of realized today when I opened my laptop to hop on for the show, oh shit, I never finished editing this the proper way. So that is on hold. When you hear it next week, I will still sound very sick. We recorded it on Tuesday afternoon. I was still pretty sick at the time. But it'll be a bonus episode next week instead of this week. It'll be like episode 162 or something.
Yeah.
Whatever next week's episode would have been is what that'll be numbered. So you'll get 2 episodes next week instead of this week. So sorry, everybody. But we did have a bunch of questions about Crota, and I want to make sure that I address some of those questions here right off the bat.
Yeah.
So we're going to do some questions here at the beginning. Saint writes in, And I really went through the struggle bus with this fucking raid. I had a day one team. We fell at the bridge. It just I was sick. I couldn't focus. I tapped out. Went in on Sunday with a team pretty much right at daily reset. Made it had to start at the beginning again. Made it from the beginning to Crota. Called it at Crota. Went in with a team that night. Started at the beginning again. Made it to Ear Ute. Went in on Monday. Basically begged. God bless A1 Johnny and Joasis. They pushed for the group that we did it with. They pushed for us to go in and just do the Crota clear so that Fox, Joe, and myself could at least get our weekend one clear.
Yeah.
Man, what an awesome fucking raid.
I mean, did they change a lot? Like
they changed an awful lot. Corey, I don't know if you've been under a rock. Crota's difficult now.
I heard. I heard that Crota is like a monster now.
So for starters, when you drop down and you do the lanterns, you used to just run through the lanterns.
Well, we all used to just stand at the first one and let somebody else run all the way through.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I figured.
So you have there's a new mechanic they introduce you to right at the beginning, before you even jump down. The Chalice of Light. You have to pass the chalice between each other while you're running through these lanterns. The only way that you can light the lanterns is by passing the chalice off. And then that means that you're empowered and you can light the lantern. Lanterns still work the same way that they always have. You also have to dunk the chalice occasionally to illuminate the next couple of lanterns, even ever so lightly. So that's rough. If somebody dies, you're probably not coming back. There are swinging lanterns in the dark now that can smack you into walls, smack you into holes, throw you off the map. It's a lot. You finally get to the end. There's no cheese spot anymore either. You get all the way to the end. This is like an 8 or 9 minute ordeal. You get up to the end, and you know where they used to spawn the ogres? Now they spawn unstoppable ogres.
Oh, God.
That sprint right at you.
Neat.
Yeah, so that's fun while you're trying to build the bridge, and then you go over. Bridge encounter is largely the same. You have to do bridge legit.
Yeah, well, I figured that too.
You have to do the bridge legit. You can only cross if you have the chalice or a sword. Kill the first sword bearer, and after that, it's pretty simple. The Shrieker hallway now has barriers up between you and the next areas. You can only pass through those if you have had the chalice and become empowered.
Oh.
So you have to go in and fight the Shrieker by yourself.
Oh, God.
Yeah. While there's an onslaught of ads coming through, by the way.
Of course. Why
the secret chest is still in its same spot at the end of the hallway. Then you go to Ear Ute. Ear Ute's where the real changes have happened.
Oh.
Ear Ute's a real encounter now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you come out from that underground area, you book it up both sides, you kill your way into the room. You have the chalice again, and you have to start swapping it between each other. There are now wizards you have to go kill in order to drop her shield.
Oh, God, of course.
And the wizards are in 6 different locations. 6, 8 different locations? 6 to 8 different locations. The first time that you go to drop her shield, you need 3 people to become empowered and do it. The second time, it's 4. The third time, when she's enraging, all 6 people have to do it. You can only pass into the barriers to kill a wizard if you become empowered. Now, you remember how crazy the center crystal room used to get whenever Crota was summoned, right? So that happens now during the Ear Ute fight.
Oh, neat.
And it's a bunch of yellow bar knights and cursed thrall.
Oh, God, of course.
There is nowhere safe. It's terrible. There was a lot of screaming. When you finally get Ear Ute's shield down, if you time it right, you'll get about 35 seconds of DPS. You can actually pretty easily one-phaser now that you're not on contest. With a div and some Thunderlords, or div and a bunch of outbreaks. Outbreak actually can one-phase her with the correct supers and a div bubble. And then Big Daddy Crota comes out. And Crota, similarly, has also changed. You still have to kill the sword bearer. That still is the same. You have a chalice mechanic, though, because you can only pick up swords when you're empowered.
God, of course.
In Crota, you can only swap. Previously, you've been able to grab the chalice anywhere. You can only grab the chalice in the beacons of light, essentially, that are on the field. And they go away after you swap. So you have to look for the next one while your timer is counting down with that chalice. Chalice fills, there's Boomer Knights in the towers now, which you have to kill in order to spawn the ogres and the sword bearer. And on top of that, Crota's running around the whole arena. Crota can run into the middle room now, by the way.
Oh, great. Neat.
There is nowhere safe. There's no barrier between you and Crota. The windowsill no longer exists. It's a big ass platform out there now. When you finally go to hit Crota, the swords are used to break his shield now, and then everyone just beats the shit out of him with whatever they want to use. Lament is the way to go. That's the strategy. We sorted Crota to death. We two-phased him. Two-phased him using Lament on non-contest. This is the hardest contest mode that I can think that I can remember. It is the lowest completion for a contest mode since Garden of Salvation.
Neat.
Yeah, something like I think 4,000 teams cleared contest and only 900 teams cleared challenge. So kudos. Those are Garden of Salvation level numbers. Kudos. In fact, that's actually higher than Garden, I think, for the main completion, and then for a contest, that's right on par with Garden's 24 hours. And this was over 48 hours, mind you. Hats off. If you were able to hang in there and get that clear, hats off to you. I don't think that we would have survived it. But we did have some questions from the community. A lot of questions from you guys. Saint writes in and goes, as much as I've heard about the new raid, even with contest being insanely difficult, everyone seems to respect the fact that it went hard. I just wanted to say I haven't heard many complaints about the difficulty or the raid. Other than it being Crota, I know you'll talk about it a bunch on the pod, but what's going to keep you coming back into Crota? The fun of it, loot, drip, or to see Fox die a bunch? I'll be honest. The fact that they lead off with the Age of Triumph armor and it's in regular and not master is a huge win.
Yeah.
Huge W. All I got was fucking armor. I got 3 chest pieces and a helmet. So I'm not particularly thrilled with my loot. The weapons are almost all instantly like close to best in class.
Oh, really?
Yes. Word of Crota is dominating as a hand cannon. Necrochasm is destroying in PvP. If you don't have it, don't bother playing in comp right now or in trials. And the quest is RNG based, based on oversouls are RNG based when they drop. So good luck with that. The LMG is awesome. The Scout is awesome. Abyss Defiant is awesome. I'm having the shotgun, there are probably better shotgun choices, but that's kind of picking nits at this point. Other than that, like almost everything else is automatically close to a best in class. So I'm looking really forward to being able to play and craft these. I want these weapons in a way that I didn't want the King's Fall loot pool.
Yeah.
Which I don't think was bad. It's just we had so many other options. And now with Strand, they were able to make several of these weapons into Strand weapons. So really excited for that. I want to go in and grind it out. I have another run set up for tomorrow evening, I believe, that I'll be jumping in and doing. But that's what I'll be coming back in. I want the whole set of armor. The armor's awesome. I may be motivated to do this on my Warlock, at least just to get those robes. God, it looks so cool across the board. I really, really enjoy it.
That's great.
Yeah, it's great. Joe and I re-ranked the raids, and I'll go ahead and give a spoiler. We ranked both Crota encounters. We ranked D1 Crota and we ranked D2 Crota. D1 Crota came in almost last place.
Shocking.
Just because of the ease of it.
Yeah.
It's not a real raid. D2 Crota cracked the top 5 for both of us. So it is worth noting. It did not touch the top 3, but I believe we both had it slotted at number 4. We both had it at number 4, I think.
Interesting.
This raid is the strongest argument yet for we need contest full time.
Yeah.
We need contest as a selectable challenge. Jiggly Panda writes in, goes, what are your thoughts on Crota? We just shared a bunch of those. Did either of you do it on contest? I did. It was awful. To the point, not awful, but it was very apparent to me, like, okay, this is what contest should be. If you clear it, if you clear the whole thing, you're in another tier.
Yeah.
You're in another tier. I'm okay with not being in that tier. I might give it the old college try one more time for the final shape, but I think my days of contesting are over. I enjoy watching the raid race an awful lot.
Yeah.
And especially when they do Twitch drops, I think that's a lot of fun. Twitch Rivals has really become a part of the experience. I enjoy that aspect. I like watching people that I know through the internet attempting the raid. I think that's a lot of fun to watch people that I personally know who aren't big streamers doing it.
Yeah.
And then just going in fresh on Sunday. Going in fresh on Sunday, I'm well rested. I can take all day Sunday and Monday to finish it. So
nice.
And then Titan class for the win. I had a chance to play with Titan on Sunday. Great guy. Really enjoyed playing with him. Dude, Banner of War. Fucking awesome. Watching Banner of War work that room, that's how you survive your ute. What is your favorite and least favorite part about Reprised Crota? My favorite is actually, believe it or not, I think it's got to be how they changed the Crota fight.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of fun. It's unique. This is a raid where you can't just stand around and ad clear on any of the encounters. You have to actually participate, and I really enjoy that. This is not a, hey, I'll put you in my backpack and drag you through it. You have to actually participate, and you have to know what you're doing. This raid, even on normal, it's end game content.
Yeah.
They really heard all the jokes we made about Crota over the years and went, bet. My least favorite part, I praised it last week. My least favorite part is the exotic quest. Knowing that the RNG is so bad on the Oversouls, like to the point where Bungie is probably going to have to address it in the next week or two.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it taking a month to earn the gun. If you can earn maybe 3 or 4 Oversouls a week, I think you have to have 20 to unlock Necrochasm. I'm okay with it taking that long. I'm not okay with the Catalyst needing 50 Oversouls. We're talking about even if you raid every single week on your characters, if you have the best RNG in the world, you are still looking at like 5 months to get that Catalyst.
Yeah.
And that's not very cool. That's actually really frustrating to me. There's people who got the gun during contest mode who are frustrated about the Catalyst, and I'm like, oh, you have no idea. You have no idea how annoying this is for the rest of us. Don't even start with me. Because you automatically got progress towards your Catalyst at that point if you got to clear on regular contest. So right. I don't want to hear it from anybody. I don't want to hear it from anybody. That is by far the worst. I think Miss 5000 Watts said it the best from DCP. She said she liked the idea of the quest, but if it's going to have this bad of RNG, she would have rather just had the whole exotic be an RNG drop. And I can't help but agree at that point.
Yeah.
This kind of defeats the purpose of... Now, if you had given me the quest and it was like, oh, you had to do some stuff like beforehand, just like Divinity, that would have been fine to guarantee you the exotic when you finish. And like, oh, to get the Catalyst, you got to get the Oversouls. That would have been annoying, but you would have at least had the weapon.
Yeah.
We have confirmed you can farm the Oversouls, but there's been people who have said they've farmed Crota for 6 hours, only got like 2 or 3 drops.
God, so gross.
I can't do that. I was like, at that point, I'm not vibing with that.
That's so gross.
It's not cool.
They have to adjust that.
They're going to have to. I think that they're going to get some feedback, but I have to think that that's coming in the mid-season patch at the absolute latest.
Yeah.
I'm almost a little surprised they didn't do it in today's little stealth patch they put out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gross.
It's real gross. So yeah, Crota, awesome raid. Crota feels really, really good. There's a whole... Joe and I talked for a whole hour about Crota and ranking the raids coming up. I think we came in at just over 60 minutes on that, so that'll hit your feeds early next week. And before we get to the TWID, we have a very special welcome home.
Welcome home.
Welcome home. World Jukebox has been deployed with the Army, I think. I'm sorry, I completely forgot if you're in the Army or the Marines.
Some branch of the military.
Some branch of the military has been, that's not to be glib about it. I genuinely have forgotten. I have slept an awful lot since you've been gone. Has been deployed over there since, I believe, just before or just after the Witch Queen. And is back. Wrote us a note in the questions that I want to share with the community. No question from me this week, but wanted to thank you guys. I'm finally back from my deployment, and listening to the show while I was overseas helped keep me up with everything going on. Appreciate you guys every single week. # it's been a week.
Yeah. Glad you got home safe. That's
yes, very glad that you got home safe. We've already got raids up in the Discord to sign up to get my man through Vow of the Disciple and through Crota, I believe. So, welcome back. Hope you acclimate to civilian life, without too much trouble. I know that can be pretty difficult. I come from a family of military people. My dad particularly had a lot of time readjusting after he got back from Bahrain and Saudi Arabia back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But, welcome home, and hope I can get a raid in with you soon. I was going to sign up, and I saw that they were already filling up, so I'll let other people slide on in there, and maybe we can hit some dungeons or something coming up.
Josh is just too busy playing Starfield. That's the real reason.
Josh is really busy with a lot of things right now. This has been the busiest I've been in quite a long time. Oh my god, so much so that I completely forgot to pull up the TWAB for this week. Corey, it's been a week.
Yeah, I'm aware.
I'm gonna keep saying it. It's been a fucking week.
Oh man, what a weird week this has been, man. I gotta be honest with you. Strange week.
It's been a strange week, and I'm not jazzed about some of the things that have gone on here. My room behind me, if you're watching on YouTube, my room behind me is finally clean for like the first time ever. Finally got motivated to clean up all my stuff. Sister-in-law is coming to stay with us, so there may be a change of scenery for the next couple weeks for me. Don't know where I'll be recording, but it might not be in my office. She's gonna be living in our spare room for the foreseeable future. So we'll see how that goes. But this week in Destiny, the TWID. Guardians from Maui. There's only 4 days left. If you're listening to this on the day it comes out, great. You got the heads up. If not, well, hope you contributed already. I think it's a pretty sweet shirt and emblem. I keep forgetting to do mine. I'm doing mine tonight. Or first thing in the morning, depending on if my girlfriend took the credit card with her. But I do plan on getting it. I really like the shirt. Of course, completely worthy cause for those impacted by the wildfires. The biggest news here in the TWID today, though, we got to talk about it. PvP Strike Team. We've got a note from them already here.
Yeah. By the way, before you go into that,
hit me.
The D2 team Twitter account asked for Crucible feedback on Twitter.
I'm actually going to be getting to that. Yeah.
I was like, man, you guys are brave. You guys are brave.
You guys are real brave. And I mean, to their credit, I do think that there was a lot of really good discussion going on.
Yeah.
But as with all things on Twitter, the discussion went pretty bad pretty quickly. But yeah, I've got some on here from content creators that I follow that I want to read from. But we'll get to that in just a minute. This team's goal is to make Destiny 2 PvP experience more fun for players who enjoy facing off against other Guardians in glorious combat. Our objective is not to increase player numbers by forcing players who don't enjoy these activities to feel obligated to play them. Instead, we want to create fun experiences that entice players who have shied away from Shaxx's calling to dip their toe in. The team has a few changes coming up in the short term and are also working on long-term plans for what other improvements can be made. For example, in today's update, we added a high chance for non-adept Trials weapons to drop from any Trials match wins. Let's stop right there. Trials weapons have a high chance to drop as long as you win the match. Now, that's easier said than done.
Better win.
But that is great news for those of us who are so bad. We don't have to sit there and farm all the time trying to get Shaxx or get Saint rep in order to go and decide, well, do I want to spend this on armor or on weapons? Because the new armor, pretty awesome. I've got, been kind of facing that myself. Like, well, I really want armor more than anything. Like,
yeah,
the weapons are cool, but
especially because this Trials armor looks really good.
This Trials armor always looks good. So we're 4 for 4 right now on Trials armor, as far as I'm concerned. So that's a really cool change that we didn't even know was coming. They just threw it out there Really, really happy. Obviously, can't try it out this weekend with Iron Banner going on, but next week it'll be up and live. Our PvP team wants your input too. We've created a lot of feedback, collected a lot of feedback, not created, collected a lot of feedback so far, and we wanted to give you all another opportunity to share your freshest ideas on how you would like to see PvP continue to improve. As a specific example of feedback that would be helpful for us, what game modes or rule sets would you be interested in seeing in the competitive playlist? We've set up collection posts on the Bungie.net forums, Reddit, and Twitter. Right now, the new Relic game mode is live in the lab for testing. Another new modifier for multiple modes, Checkmate, is starting up on September 19th. These mode tests are going to help us evaluate the success of these modes and how they might fit into other playlists. Speaking of other playlists, one thing we are currently working on is a complete restructuring of the current playlist to create clearer identities and purposes for each playlist. We're looking at everything from which modes and maps are in each playlist and matchmaking tuning to lobby balancing and rotation details. In addition to the playlists themselves, the Strike team will be focused on many of the things that touch our Crucible experience, including sandbox balance, spawn issues, rewards, and the addition of quality of life features. As we start to solidify more of our plans, we will share details along the way. So I want to kind of share a few thoughts that I was having about this earlier today when I was thinking. I know that the joking response is always nerf Jotun or nerf Antaeus wards or something like that. I totally agree, but I think it goes a lot deeper than that. Like there are some very obvious matchmaking issues. I know in Trials, one of the complaints is that duos feels like if you go in as a duo, you're losing.
Yeah.
You have to go in as a 3-stack or, with a duo, you're really rolling the dice there, right? And the request has been from a lot of top PvP players has been to get rid of the ability to do duos in Trials.
Mm-hmm.
That you have to go in as solos or you have to go in as trios, or like to just keep those teams that are, I guess maybe not necessarily eliminate duos, but like keep those who want to go in as a 3-stack in their own playlist.
Yeah.
And I would say I pretty strongly agree with that. I think it should be like that for comp too, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
I like the addition, and we have the freelance node already, right? So, or we used to. No, we don't have it. I'm getting confused with Iron Banner. There's no freelance node anymore for Trials. But they've done a pretty good job that if you go in there as a solo, you're probably ending up with other solos, but you're occasionally going to have to play with a duo. And the proposal I'm seeing is that, from most players is just have 2 separate queues, have one for solos and duos and have one for trios.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Yeah.
There's been a few players who have kind of taken that to the extreme and just been like, well, it just needs to be solos or trios, and that's it. And I think that's stupid because there's a lot of people who only have like one other person to play with.
Yeah.
I don't think you can eliminate duos as a whole.
No.
I would say the other thing for me, one of the other big things for me is rewards.
Yeah.
There has to be a reason to keep people coming back for both casuals and sweats. Like you can't grow a PvP population if you don't have rewards catering to both.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, we've kicked this around before, but things that we've suggested are like maybe an evolving ornament set for comp, that reflects your ranking. They've already done the load in animation and the emblem, and I think both of those are really cool. But I forget who it was. There was somebody kicking around that there needs to be, maybe you can give ornaments away for like the Crucible specific guns.
Yeah.
In comp. And like have like that's like the highest chance for them to drop is in comp tiers, but like they have a small chance to drop from regular PvP.
Yeah.
We need more than one weapon a season. I do think that we're at a point, and I know Bungie went away from this several years ago, and I really hate to reignite the armor conversation. We're about to talk about the armor. We're going to talk about armor here in a few minutes, but I really think that we're at a point where you need to do Crucible armor. That is something else for people to earn. I'm not saying every season needs Crucible armor, but at least every year. And it needs to be a unique set, not just, it's a different color of the generic set we give everyone.
Yeah.
That, again, armor ornaments, I think would be really cool. I don't really know beyond that. Like, just rewards overall need a huge revamp. I mean, ships and sparrows only go so far, ghosts only go so far, emblems, etc. Like, we need cosmetics, but we need cosmetics that we can show off to other people as a status symbol. Like, I want to see people in the tower wearing ornaments from comp and be like, wow, those guys are badasses.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Like, I want to see them with those special armor or those special weapon ornaments. Maybe there's a weapon ornament that can drop for anybody, and then there's one that can only drop from the comp playlist.
Yeah.
Or can like only drop when you hit like there's one that drops in comp, but it changes how it looks when you hit Ascendant or something.
Yeah.
That only an exclusive number of people can get to these tiers in a season, and they're the only ones who can get that stuff. There needs to be some I hate saying this, there needs to be a little bit of FOMO. There needs to be like, oh my god, I have to have this, I have to play this mode.
Especially while we wait for like new maps and stuff too, like at least.
And I think that would alleviate it. As if you have healthy game modes, we can forgive the maps for a little while.
Yeah.
If we know there's a map pack coming, I'm excited to play Checkmate. I'm excited to play Relic. But if you had rewards in there, I'd be wanting to play it even more. Like right now, it's just kind of like, I avoid it unless I absolutely have to play. Because there's nothing really drawing me in right now.
Yeah.
Like Banner, I play on Banner weeks because I want the weapons.
Yeah.
I want the armor, even though that armor only gets updated like once a year.
Yeah.
Like I want the rewards, but I want to reset because there's an emblem, there's a shader involved, there's there's other goodies that they've put in on those tracks before.
Yeah.
Like I need that same care given to both regular and comp. Trials has all this stuff. Can we get that for comp? If it's a true competitive mode, you need to have rewards.
Yeah.
And if you want people to engage, like that's the easiest way to get people to engage is have fun modes and have rewards. Right now, almost anything you can earn in comp, you can go earn elsewhere, with the exception of or not comp, but in Crucible, you can earn anywhere else with the exception of like the one gun they put in there a season.
Yeah.
So like similar to how we're seeing with the Red War weapons. There's 4 Red War weapons that are back inexplicably tied to Savathun's Throne World. Could we have taken 2 of those and maybe put 2 of those in comp and 2 of those in regular Crucible as rewards?
Right. Yeah.
And or like maybe make some of those guns like exclusive to as comp drops, and then you move them to the regular pool after a season or 2.
Yeah.
Like I don't like tying actual loot to comp, but you can go in there and lose your way to Rose and the sniper that they've done. I forget the name of it. I think Mercurial Overreach, I think. You can lose your way to those snipers. To that sniper and hand cannon, respectfully. You can lose your way to those. You don't have to be like this amazing god tier player. You can be placing down in bronze and still get those rewards. You play your couple matches a week and boom, you get your gun. Like, I think there has to be incentives to go play in both of those. But I want to share some of the thoughts. Like Corey, if you have any thoughts you want to share on, like PvP and like what would you submit if they were asking you? I know you're even more casual than I am about PvP.
Yeah, I mean the funny thing is I used to play PvP a lot, and then I mean obviously like kids and life things, but like I don't know. I mean weapons are nice. I mean the armor thing is like the big one, and some sort of reward for playing like, oh, there's this cool armor set that's going to be available for the next 2 seasons if you play this mode, this mode, or this mode. Like, I mean, I'm all about the armor, that, especially because Titan's armor usually sucks. I mean, cool weapons would be cool. I would almost like to see some sort of like, and I know this would take forever, but some sort of like new exotic quest that revolved around Crucible, maybe. And not necessarily wins or whatever, but like,
participation.
Yeah. Like, get 25 kills with this submachine gun or whatever, right? Like that would be
even if I can piggyback off you for just a second.
Sure.
Like maybe not even necessarily an exotic quest for a new weapon, but for a special ornament for an exotic.
Yeah.
Like, take one of those Eververse weapon ornaments you make every season and make it a pursuit quest for everyone. But you earn bonus progress if you play Comp, Trials, or Iron Banner.
Yeah.
comp and trials match wins reward the most progress or something like that. Like, make it a bragging right. Like, I've long wanted to see this in trials.
Yeah.
Because I think the 3 trials ornaments they did that they sold back in the day were really cool, and we never got more.
Yeah.
Just do more. Let's do more. Let's get some shaders in these modes every single season.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me that this is that difficult. And if it is, I'm backseat game deving. Let's hire a couple people. You've got to go to Sony and say, hey, to keep this your real only in-house multiplayer live service title that SIE owns is Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to keep this healthy, we need the resources to do it. Like, here's where we're falling short.
Yeah.
If Joe hasn't been in meetings with them since that state of the game, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, and like, I mean, Sony has so many resources too. Like, I mean, the thing is, Sony San Diego, they have like a whole department that's like built around helping other studios or helping studios get games out, or like that unnamed art team that they use out of Santa Monica, right? Like just ask them for help. You know, it's not going to hurt.
Yeah, ask for help. Like, that's what they're there for. And I mean, if it's something like, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, if it's something as simple as we need help developing shaders and armor or like transmat effects or something, I would think that things like that are easier to design than full ass like raids and dungeons and stuff. Let's get some cosmetics people in here. Like, the rewards team, I really feel like you got to involve the rewards team. Like, they're doing great stuff for physical goodies, and I think they're doing great stuff for goodies in game in other modes, like the exotic quest for Crota. Great idea, poorly executed.
Yeah, like,
you know, let's get some stuff going. Let's get those creative juices flowing. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have to sustain the game post final shape.
And sometimes too, as you know, a creative, like sometimes you're too close to the source to, you know, see the forest through the trees, right? And so like use those teams that Sony uses as art, or you know, like support teams, like you were using High Moon and Raven, right? Like that would be how I would see it, at least.
Yeah, I think that you have to be able to get you got to be able to get some more help in there in the rewards department, mainly. Like, we've talked about getting map builders in there, and I think that's a little bit easier said than done. Mm-hmm. I think you have to understand the gameplay of Destiny. You can't just like insert people. This isn't Call of Duty.
Yeah,
like, you can't make just these generic maps and people are going to play them for only like 8 months and then forget about them, right?
Yeah,
this isn't Call of Duty.
Clearly there's been maps in there since D1.
Yeah, I mean, and that's been my whole thing. Like, I'm still playing on maps I was playing in the beta back in 2014. Like, if I have to see that goddamn Venus map again, I might actually scream.
Oh, man. Or yeah.
I want to read a little bit of the feedback though that we've got here. I picked out a few creators. I'm going to read from Frostbolt, Fallout Plays, who originally said he was going to do a video. He did do a live stream today, which I did not catch, but I heard was really good. Ascendant Nomad, and I think Watts had some comments that were all in reply to this. Mm-hmm. I want to read them because those are 4 people that I know actually play a lot of PvP.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in hearing their takes on this versus certain other individuals. And they're towards the more hardcore scene. So definitely want to hear what they have to say. We've shared it from a more casual perspective. Let's see what the people who play this all the time, like this is their main thing in Destiny, have to say.
Yeah.
So Frostbolt says these came from players and or content creators. Remove duos from comp and trials. Give Iron Banner more loot hype. Iron Banner shouldn't be this soulless compared to D1 Iron Banner. And I think when he says that, I think he's referring to we need more armor refreshes. We need some armor ornaments to throw out there. Some ships, some sparrows. I think an Iron Banner transmat effect could be really cool. What if you could earn an Iron Banner emote at some point?
Yeah, like
what if there was like what if there was like a pinnacle? Yeah, what if there was a pinnacle cosmetic you could earn? Like, one time it's an emote, one time it's a finisher. Maybe it's a special ornament for an exotic. Like, let's get some pinnacle rewards going, so like some season-long pursuits. But even then, like, I'd even like to see these quests be long and like still be in the game, so that if you missed, you can still go pick it up from the salad man. Just pay for it.
Yeah,
pay some mats. You have to give up a golf ball to get this quest if you didn't pick it up during the actual season.
Right.
I don't know. Like there's something you could do there, I'm sure. New comp gun every season, that would be hype. I agree. I think the challenge is making something that's not as broken as Mountaintop Recluse Revoker. That was a pretty rough. That was a pretty rough 3-season stretch there. Let's be honest. And on top of that, you also had Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten before then. So the whole of Forsaken was pretty rough for guns exclusive to comp.
Yeah.
For normies. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be stuff, but you have to keep the perks in mind. I think the redo of Rose was a good first step.
Yeah.
This sniper feels like a step back. Let's get back to that. I think that there's room to do these. Do kind of maybe what you've done with some of the other playlists, like the Nightfalls and the Vanguard playlist. Take some of these old pinnacles, what was the linear fusion, the Komodo, the linear fusion, right? Heavy linear fusion. Let's take that. Let's get that back in the rotation with some random rolls. Now that linears are actually good, let's take some of those and get those back in the rotation. We've taken older Crucible guns and brought them forward. Let's do it again. Let's recycle some things, but maybe have an original weapon every other season.
Yeah.
Kind of like this sniper. Perk refresh on all PvP vendor guns, or more than one gun per season. Agree on both of those. I think I've been pretty clear about wanting to see more weapons in the playlists to earn.
Yeah.
And I'd rather if you're going to do that kind of weapon refresh, I'd rather it happen here. I think that Vanguard gets plenty of love.
Oh yeah,
there, because you can earn the Vanguard weapons, you can earn the Nightfall weapons. Vanguard has plenty of love. Crucible, it's spread throughout multiple different things. It's spread throughout Iron Banner, through Trials. Trials is in a fine place loot-wise, I think.
Yeah, I think so,
You
too.
get cosmetics each year. You get armor each year. And they're not being handed out like candy. The cosmetics aren't being handed out like candy or anything. Iron Banner, you get a refresh every season. You get 2 guns every season. Why can't we get 2 guns for a mode you can play every day?
Right.
Do something about ability spam. Your PvP has become really similar to Overwatch. Even the team knew what the best PvP was. You said it yourselves, 30th anniversary. I have seen this request so many times. Go back to the 30th anniversary meta. I don't know if I necessarily agree, but that is probably the best it's felt in the post-Shadowkeep seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Really, since post Undying, that's probably the best it's felt to me. Definitely the best since Stasis came out.
Yeah.
That's about the best it's felt, the most balanced it's felt. A new event that shows us Destiny 2 can do what Destiny 1 did by creating Trials and Iron Banner. So a whole new PvP experience. I think that is probably something you're looking at maybe next fall at the earliest would be coming out.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something you start talking about post Final Shape, and you say, hey, we're working on a new experience, but it's not going to be ready for a while. And then that's something you drop with the anniversary update next year.
Mm-hmm.
I can agree with that. I don't know what you do. I feel like something like Relic probably would have been it. But I understand also that these are not the kind of people who want to play party modes.
Yeah.
Party modes are there for people like you and me. They're there for us to go and goof off, have our fun, and get our free weapons.
Right.
More strictness with how weapons are buffed, because some can be more potent on either mouse and keyboard or controller. Input shifts are toxic for the community and unnecessary. Let us turn our Trials armor into Artifice armor. Wholly agree. If you are going to say something is a pinnacle piece of content, I think that Master Raid armor, which I think Master Raid armor already is. I don't remember exactly. Master Raid armor, Trials armor, and Dungeon armor needs to be Artifice. And even the Dungeon armor is only Artifice on Master.
Yeah. That
stuff needs to be Artifice armor. Just straight up. If you're going to say that's the pinnacle of your experience, that's what it needs to be. That's about there's a few things. The most common thing that I saw is remove airborne effectiveness. I'm not really going to be able to speak to this, so I just want to read directly what a few people have said about this. The system created more problems than it solved. I was in support of the idea at the start. Most of us were, I think. But I really don't like the way it was executed. It seems like the system is final because we haven't had any more updates. But that is the one thing, the one constant I saw is better rewards, better spawns, get rid of AE.
Yeah.
Amongst people. I gotta go back out. I had to go into replies on some of these, which, it's really bad.
Yikes.
Somebody said, we totally feel They addressed, somebody said we need more maps, and they said, well, we're already addressing that, obviously. Tom Warren of The Verge is begging them to remove airborne effectiveness as skill-based matchmaking. Where's Fallout's? I think Fallout may have just tweeted his out. I gotta actually go searching for his. If y'all will bear with me for just a moment, I thought that I saw his replies were in here. He may not have tweeted his out. I think he's actually doing his as a video, and that's frustrating. Yeah, he's using his. Okay, so we're not going to read Fallouts. Sorry, I would normally read from Fallout first, but I can't really do that.
It does. Nope, that's not him. Never mind.
No, I just pulled up his. Feed.
Yeah. I pulled it up too to try to look, but.
Watts says that she'd like to always see KDA, etc. at the end of match report, even though objective modes kills are important in order to secure those objectives, so not having it recognized at all feels bad. I agree. Skill-based matchmaking plus fire team-based matchmaking just feels bad. I'd like to see what fire team matchmaking would feel like with just outlier protection. Bubble and well in PvP needs tuning. Totally agree. Airborne effectiveness needs to be more ways to be built into or scrapped. And I feel like they've offered ways to build into it, but can't commit 100% because they know how much we hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's going to be gone. Maybe not anytime soon, but I feel like by the final shape, airborne effectiveness is either totally revamped or completely gone.
Yeah.
And then she also said Artifice Armor and the Flawless Chest and make Iron Banner rain loot. I agree. Iron Banner is supposed to be the pinnacle for casual players to come in and play. And it doesn't feel like that. It feels like a sweat fest right now.
Yeah.
I don't get Iron Banner weapons dropping an Iron Banner. That's pretty unacceptable for me.
Yeah.
I love going through here and just seeing this account is muted. You muted this account. You muted this account. Ascendant Nomad says map voting. Not sure how map voting would go over. But I think we'd all love for the option to not play certain maps.
Yeah.
I agree, but at the same time, I don't know if I trust a fair amount of these Destiny 2 players. I don't want to play the same 2 maps for the rest of my life.
No.
Nomad writes, pure connection-based matchmaking in casual modes, skill-based in comp. Can't say I disagree there.
Yeah.
Well and Bubble need to be tier 2 and 3 supers. I'd be okay with that. Removal of Fortress mode from Iron Banner. I'm going to disagree. I really like what Fortress does. I think that's a pretty fun Iron Banner mode.
Yeah, Fortress is
for
cool.
For normies, it's fun, and I understand that people are frustrated because of Well and Bubble. Play into it to counter it if you play another class.
Yeah.
Play in to counter it.
Yeah, I mean if you're a hunter, you can blast that bubble with an arrow, right? So.
You can hit it with the arrow doesn't really do much. You really have to lure people out and then shoot them with the arrow. What you want to do if you're a hunter is Shards of Galanor, or you want to Gathering Storm it to do the big burst damage.
Yeah,
is what you want.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Nova Bombs can counter those pretty effectively. Thunder Crashes, especially, there's a lot of things you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to say remove Fortress. Fortress, I think, is actually fun for the most part. As long as it's not on Cathedral of Dusk, it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Banner loot needs serious inspiration. New stuff needs to be A and B tier, not D tier. Comp guns should be drop chances, more comp rewards generally. Yeah, so kind of the same thing we've already been saying. A lot of people are on the exact same wavelength here. Scarrow basically says all the same thing. Get rid of AE. He says it 4 times in here. Yeah. Sunset Disjunction, Sunset Fortress, lose skill-based or fire team matchmaking by combo. Both feels absolutely insane. I agree. Here's where I'm surprised. More fun game types like Relic. I think there should be enough modes to where you can just do a party playlist at all times. Have Mayhem, Relic, Team Scorched, and maybe come up with one other mode to put in there. Have like a permanent, have like that just be like the rotator playlist for the week. Be like, hey, it's party week and Shax is throwing a party in the Crucible or something.
Mhm.
Double loot, double XP, and party modes.
Yeah. You could almost make that like a fun thing too. Like, I mean, Iron Banner is like the more serious one. You could have the more fun one once every, like once a month or 3 times a season, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's not. Man, if Saint wasn't running trials, I would say Saint would be the perfect host for that.
yeah. You got to give Shaq something to do.
I think that can they get Lenny James to come record new dialogue?
I mean, he's done with The Walking Dead, right? I mean, that was like,
we think so.
I mean, I wish everybody was done with The Walking Dead. I wish Daryl Dixon was not so popular, so they'd make Boondock Saints 3. Although it's way too late for that.
Oh God, I wanted Boondock Saints 3 when I was like 17. Now I go back and watch those movies, and I'm like, God, I cringe so hard that I used to watch these movies all the time.
Those are definitely a time and place.
That was a you had to be there moment, I think.
Yeah.
I actually quite like some of the action in 2, but it's just so nonsensical, and the scripts are so bad. They're like genuinely probably the worst written movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, but it's dumb. They're dumb.
It's dumb. It's fun. There was one other
Young Indiana Jones though in those movies, but he's like 50. So
there was one more I wanted to read from, and I want to say that Damage gave some feedback, and I can't find it. I don't think he did. Maybe I'm just thinking out of my ass. Oh, here we go. I found his reply. It was to Ascendant Nomad, but I wanted to read this. Me, a casual, I love Fortress. Defensive supers make it rough, but I greatly enjoy the fun of Cabal turrets coming in. Totally down. Would be cool to see more modes incorporate things like that, even if it's not zone control. Turrets drop in, maybe a bit more health, big score for the kills. I agree. I actually think that would be the evolution of Gambit, is you drop in something that like everyone's rushing to kill for the points. That could be really fun.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just smoking a pack tonight, but I think that would be fun.
A pack of what?
So, I don't know. But any more thoughts? Any more thoughts on the PvP part of the TWAB tonight? I think we kind of exasperated most of the main topics here.
Yeah, we covered a lot of it. My last thing though is like I want to be excited to play PvP again. I don't care if it's maps or weapons or armor. I just so.
Well, I think a sign that they're listening is the new map is in rotation for Iron Banner and it's bugged. You can summon your Sparrow on it.
Mm-hmm.
So people are like playing bumper cars in Iron Banner with their Sparrows. They're just ramming each other.
Yeah.
Or running people over. And I think that's really funny. And they said, basically go crazy until we deploy a fix for it. Go crazy. Old Bungie would have rushed to just get rid of that, I think.
Yeah.
But instead, they saw something funny. I'm sure that movie of the week next week is going to be something about it, like Mario Kart and Destiny or something.
Oh,
but it's a lot of fun. Let's talk about this wild new ritual armor set real fast. This was supposed to be the Eververse set. It's very like Predator themed.
Dude, it's very cool. I'm actually like, in terms of a Titan not having great armor a lot of the times, especially like Hive or this style of armor, this looks really cool, man.
I really love
cool.
I love the gauntlets like that are covering your wrists. I love those.
Yeah,
those feel very Hunter-esque, and that's why I like them.
Yeah, I mean the Titan literally has like the claw thing from Predator on its wrist.
Yeah, and I mean the helmet is awesome. I like the claw boots. I have claw boots from back in the day in Crown of Sorrow, so happy to see other classes are getting them.
My claw boots are from the dinosaur set.
Oh yeah. I think this is really cool. I'm really happy. I didn't expect to see these until much further into the season. I expected like maybe with Festival of the Lost we would get these.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe after Festival of the Lost to keep people playing. Really happy they dropped this during Iron Banner too, because I suspect that's where a lot of us will earn it at.
Yeah, this is so cool, man.
This is awesome.
I like all 3 sets. Honestly, like it's very rare that like I like all 3 sets that come out, but these sets are awesome. I love the Hunters look too. like the bones on the hood, and like the kind of like the shotgun shell strap and stuff across the chest and around the belt. And this all looks really cool, man.
Continuing on, shout out to Clan Elysium and Salta Greppo.
This is what, his fourth one in a row?
This is his not quite in a row, but fourth overall. Has world's first for Vault of Glass, I believe Vow of the Disciple, King's Fall, and now Crota's End. Did not earn it for Ron. So yeah, shouts to that team. I mean, four wins. That's a dynasty. That is, I mean, that's a name that's as synonymous with Destiny now. Elysium in terms of rating, it's up there with some of the D1 clans that we all remember fondly. Redeem and Math Class being two of them.
Yeah.
Maybe one of these days Data will get us win. I would really love to see him get a world's first before hanging it up.
Yeah.
As arguably the most iconic raider that we've had.
You think Data will hang it up after the final shape?
He kind of addressed this post Root of Nightmares in a video that he doesn't know if he's going to hang it up, but that if something isn't done about like the challenge of rating, that he's probably going to be far less interested. He's also one of the very few content creators that I've seen in the Destiny space that has successfully diversified his content also. But like also he has a brand. Like he knows that people will go ape shit for his guides. That's like the best way to learn a raid in the first month, I feel.
Yeah.
Is by watching a Datto video.
Yeah.
And I mean, even going back for Tired and True strats, his stuff is still the best.
Yeah.
You know exactly what you're getting with a Datto raid guide. I will say there is one note here that I wanted to read from their, because we're not going to go through and read their whole interview. It was from Salt. Maybe it was towards the beginning. Oh, has your goals for winning world's first races changed throughout the years? Do you see yourself stopping anytime soon? And Salt, there were two answers here from Salt and from Kairos. Salt goes, no, competing and possibly winning doesn't get old. Day one raids are and will remain the main reason why I love and play Destiny. No other game offers anything similar. I definitely don't plan on stopping and really hope there are other raids planned for after the final shape. And Kairos goes, my goal was to complete a day one raid because I never completed one for Crown or Garden. Then we placed second in Deepstone Crypt. After getting second, I knew first was definitely possible and I wanted to get first. I don't intend on stopping anytime soon. I'll keep placing the best I can. I think these are two pretty different mindsets. One of them is someone who is just like thirsty and hungry for it. And the other one, I'm not going to say anything negative about him. It definitely reads as like, once you hear comments like that, it's like, oh, it puts some of the commentary that he has on the state of the game into perspective. And I think it should be treated in that context of, this is somebody who sees this as like the main reason that they play. That's the only reason that they play, really. Like, okay, that is in a whole different tier of difficulty, and I'm okay with that. I don't think that means nerf everything for the other like 99% of us. And I think there's probably a deeper conversation to be had there.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably about the most brutally honest answer you could have given right there.
Yeah.
In his position. And I mean, hey, kudos for just coming out and saying it. Like, it's something that we've thought that a lot of us thought for a long time. Kudos for coming out and just saying it. You know, I know post Oryx, we were all having the screaming hissy fits about div and things like that. And like, largely we've managed to work around div, and that's because we're buffing other things.
Yeah.
And so you can use div in conjunction with those things. You don't feel like you have to run all these like neutralizing supers and whatnot. But I do think that there's a lesson to be learned here about taking things in the proper context. And part of being able to take things in the proper context is being given the proper context by the subject. So I'm glad that Salt just came out and said it, like, yeah, this is the main motivation for me to play Destiny.
Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. Glad you said it.
Well, he's good at it, so.
He's very good. I mean, regardless of what you think of an individual, 4 belts is not, I believe that's the most world's firsts ever.
I mean, it's got to be, right? I mean, there's only so many raids, right? So
there's 17 raids total, 17 races that there have been.
Yeah.
So I believe that he now has the most. I think he was tied with Glad. Glad, I think, had 3.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think Redeem had 3. And I mean, they hadn't won one in years. So
yeah.
Truly, the younglings are taking over.
Oh man, isn't that sad that this game's been out so long that the next generation of raids first or world's first is coming up through the ranks?
It's a little wild. Like, I talk with some of the people that play the game, and I'm like, they're like, "Oh yeah, I was like 13 when Destiny 1 came out." I'm like, "Oh god, I feel so old,
dude."
I was like 23.
Gosh, I was. Oh my god, dude.
Corey doesn't want to talk about how old he was.
I really don't, Josh. 30, or I was like 20, 25, 26.
I was 22. I was 22 when Destiny came out.
Math is hard. 26, 27, somewhere in there.
Woof.
I know.
Woof.
I'm 36 now, man. I'm going to be 37 in November, so.
Gross. Jesus Christ. Well, that's it for the TWAB for this week.
Yeah.
Just, man, it really was a great race, though. I really enjoyed it this time around. I think it was the right amount of difficulty. This is how you do a reprised raid.
Yeah, I'm glad they changed some stuff up without, like,
they had to.
Yeah, I mean, I know they had to, but I mean, like, you know, I'm glad the encounters are still there, but they messed with them enough to make it feel challenging and new. But people, like, it was still kind of familiar, you know? I like that.
Yeah, it was still kind of familiar, but I mean, it might as well have been a brand new raid, frankly.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it.
That was kind of my thing with King's Fall. Like, I love King's Fall, right? But, like,
yep,
there really wasn't any difference. I mean, there's a few things, but they weren't different enough to say, oh, the raid is totally different, you know?
I would also argue that I don't think that Vault and King's Fall really needed to be changed that much. I think the challenge was still there.
Mm-hmm.
Sufficiently the challenge was still there.
Especially for
maybe
King's
not
Fall.
for the world's first raid, but I think overall the challenge was still there.
Yeah.
But Crota, they really took it to heart and were like, okay. And I do wonder if anything changed post Root of Nightmares. If anything, if they like really went heads down over the last 6 months and were like, okay, we have to change stuff up to make Crota. I do wonder if certain mechanics in Crota or Ear were added after.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe the chalice needing to be used during Crota was added later.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a mechanic I would see. Maybe adding the Boomer Knights as the spawn triggers.
Yeah,
just like little things that you could probably change. I feel like things like that probably happened to make it just annoying enough on day one.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is why I want contests to be a permanently selectable mode. And I think, you know, going back to the original ideas that we've shared before, Joe and I talk about this a bit more on our Crota pod, but we think there should be the contest clear. If there's a challenge mode associated with it because it's reprised, then okay, you got the challenge emblem also.
Mm-hmm.
And then there should be another contest emblem that you can earn anytime if you complete it after the initial period.
Yeah.
So, you know, there should be something to commemorate that you were the one who did it in like that 24, 48 hours, whatever it is. And then there's another one you can earn at any time for getting a contest clear.
Yeah.
I think that would push people to do it, or maybe like you guarantee the exotic if you finish it on contest.
Yeah.
And it has to be a full contest clear. It cannot be I just jumped into the boss checkpoint. No, you got to do the whole thing within that week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just some ideas that I've had over the time.
Yeah.
Well, Corey, what do you say we head over and we answer the rest of our questions? We got a couple more.
Yeah, let's answer some questions.
Let's answer a couple questions, and then we're going to head to the lore corner.
Lore corner.
So Ziltax writes in, including a picture of Xivu Arath from the excellent Sword Logic cutscene last week. Do you think this is a figurative size comparison, or do you think Xivu is going to be this big? That'll be two-story. I'll tell you right now, this is very similar, if not the exact same sketch that we see in one of the grimoire anthologies of Xivu Arath during the destruction of Tora Bottle.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is figurative or not because we've never seen her. I would wager that this is probably figurative.
Yeah.
But I actually think it would be incredible if it wasn't.
Yeah.
We've seen how big Oryx and Savathûn can be.
Yeah.
So I do think that this is a little exaggerated, but this is the god of war. She grows from the tributes of war and from the tithes. So
I feel like she's going to be massive. I feel like
that has to be like a terrifying moment when we finally see her in game. Like almost horror.
I mean, just think about how many Hive we've killed over the last 10 years, right? Like, I feel like Xivu Arath's going to be maybe almost the size of Oryx from the raid. Like, and I don't know how you fight that. I don't know how you conquer that. I don't know what you do for that. But like, it's got. Yeah. I mean, if Xivu Arath's not like obviously she's not the next raid boss. I would argue she probably won't be even in the dungeon. Like, I wonder if this is like a kind of like maybe use raid mechanics to fight her in some sort of like mid campaign, like mid boss or something. I don't know, man.
Maybe. I'm a little curious to see what they do here. But we also don't have a personal history with her like we did with Oryx and Savathûn.
Yeah.
So I almost wonder if that's why they've got Eris hanging out this season.
Yeah.
Trying to deal with her. Speaking of which, we didn't really address it, but I think this is probably a good time to dive in now. I know you've been pretty busy and haven't been able to play this week. This week's story was excellent.
Yeah.
With Imaru basically realizing that we've all been duped.
Yeah.
And when you're feeding Eris the tributes, you get trapped in a hive dome. And there is this big-ass knight.
Yeah.
Corey, I tanked that thing with my super, with all my heavy, with my buddy's super, and all his heavy. That thing was not even a third of the way dead.
Jeez.
And he apparated out of there, but it is a giant flaming knight. Very like Dark Souls-esque almost. Really? Very Dark Souls, Elden Ring-esque is what it reminded me of. It was like they took the Dark Blade and like overlaid it with fire.
Oh. Well, that's a cool visual.
And they were like, and Imaru goes, "Oh my god, that's Xivu Arath's top lieutenant." And it's like, oh well, he's gonna die like a little bitch towards the end of the season. Then that's nice to know. Like, we're totally killing this guy.
Yeah.
I forget what his name was, but it was so funny. I was laughing. I was like, oh. They gave him like this super intimidating name. When he shows up, like his name is in red on the status bar, where it's showing like, you know, things that are happening, and then when he disappears, it's like blue, and like, okay, so there's like custom animation there's like custom words for him. It was really cool. I enjoyed it. Ronnie comes in. My question is, how are you guys feeling?
Tired and busy and
fucking wiped.
Yeah. Dude,
this has been a very busy stretch for both of us, and just in terms of like life and in content creation, it's been a very busy couple of weeks.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've been work's been super busy, and then like trying to play through Starfield, which is why I haven't been playing Destiny the last 2 weeks, and like there's just so much, man. Plus, you know, my other stuff too. Like, it's just so busy, man. Busy indeed.
Tiger Jesus writes in and asks, how are you feeling about this season's artifact mods? They're shit.
Yeah, they're kind of...
I don't like them.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of them.
No.
Maybe shit's a little too extreme, but with a raid coming out where you constantly are hitting X or square or whatever it is on your respective console of choice to take a chalice from somebody, I cannot tell you how many times somebody has accidentally picked up a goddamn orb or a tangle instead, or they've gone to pick one of those up and they've accidentally taken a chalice and fucked the whole team.
Yeah.
Like, stop doing this. They're fun for like the first 3 days and then they just got annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, the mods are definitely...
The mods leave a lot to be desired. This is my least favorite mod slate in a very long time.
Yeah.
Usually we have some really fun ones. I haven't even unlocked all my mod slots yet, I don't think. I think I've got like 1 or 2 left to go, but I'm Not really enjoying the mods this season.
Yeah.
Our final question tonight. Link Chef writes in. Oh, excuse me. We got two. We've got two. I take that back. Link Chef writes in and goes, "We haven't gotten much lore recently on how the people of the Last City are feeling about the state of the Vanguard and Guardians in general for a while, especially after seeing just a bunch of Cabal and human ships start patrolling and floating above. Now that the Traveler went to face the Witness and lost, how do you think the people of the Last City feel right about now?"
Scared.
I mean, scared, but also like, to the people, like, this is like kind of another Tuesday for them.
Yeah.
Like, the people of the city have lived in fear for hundreds of years now.
Right, but I think the Traveler being in the state that it is, like, I think that will probably scare people more than it normally does.
Possibly. I would say that I don't think that they're too freaked out by the Cabal ships.
Yeah.
To be honest, because they're used to the Elixni living in town now.
Yeah. Plus there was that whole season. There was that whole season. It might have been Risen where, like, I mean, there's Cabal like in the city now too, right? So
yeah. And I mean, like, I think they just see that they understand, like, we're in a state of war.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're in a state of war. This isn't like with Gaul where this came out of nowhere. There were fucking warnings this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Just nobody knew that the Traveler was going to go up into space and, have the Travelousy opened. So,
man,
nobody knew that was going to happen. Outside of that, though, I would say, like, most humans probably don't really give a shit about the Vanguard, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
The Vanguard, yeah, they govern the Last City, but they don't really.
Yeah.
Because they're so preoccupied with it. That's what the consensus was supposed to do, but New Monarchy, Dead Orbit, and Future War Cult are all gone now.
Yeah.
So the consensus basically is no more. I imagine that they have people who speak for them to the Vanguard.
Yeah.
The Vanguard really is like, and I think they understand that also the Guardians are there like for protection. It's basically like a miniature army. But these are people who have had to live through Six Fronts. They've heard the stories of Six Fronts, of Twilight Gap, of the Dark Ages. They saw the Red War happen. I mean, you have to remember the city was destroyed basically by Gaul. And I think, if anything, that's the mixed feelings they got, is they're thinking like, hey, yo, like 3 years ago, these space rhinos came in and like killed Aunt Jemima down the road, like they took over the ramen shop. They destroyed my favorite tower disco joint. Like, they've done some pretty bad shit. They don't know about half the threats that we've stopped to the city either. I'd wager that they don't know about Insurrection Prime or about the heist on the old tower.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many things that they just don't know about that, like, literally, I think they just see new ships and they're like, well, must be a Tuesday, and just went on with their lives.
Want to get some ramen?
Basically, might as well. Can't take it with us, right?
Yeah.
At that point, I would just stop asking questions.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to get some lore at the beginning of next season dealing with this.
Yeah. All right.
Sure. It really feels like, especially with the next Grimoire anthology being about partners in the light, I really feel like that's coming. Just a little bit more lore. We'll see.
Yeah.
But also, I think, like, most humans are pretty, like, they don't really know what the nature of the Traveler is.
Yeah.
Most of that knowledge was lost after the collapse. Like, they know the stories that are told. But as the speaker says, at the beginning of Destiny 1, the darkness is thought of as a story to frighten children.
Yeah.
And he tells us, but it's coming back. And not even the speaker could have guessed what we would go through eventually.
Yeah.
So, like, side tangent, I really hope that, like, they find a way to bring Bill Nighy back for the final shape for, like, a narration.
Yeah.
But at the same time also, we've probably moved past that, and I'd really I really feel that, like, if he was still here, Lance would have given the final, like, words of the expansion.
Yeah. I think that would be cool if they did that, like even to open up the expansion. Right.
Yeah.
He would like give like almost like a overview of the story so far, and like in like some sort of like vague inspirational way. Right. Like, we fought in gods. We've whatever, I think that would be really cool.
Since it seems like we're really going to be dealing with like the nature of Ghost, especially going into the final shape, Ghost narrates the entire trailer, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And, Ghost kind of, I think, knows in the back of their mind, like, they're part of the reason, our Ghost specifically is part of the reason that things keep happening. They were possessed in the moon when we went to the pyramids.
Yeah.
That's how the Witness first spoke to us. They were possessed inside the pyramid, I believe in the pyramid at the end of Beyond Light.
Yeah.
they were taken control of and flown up to the Veil, and we were unwilling to shoot them and do what was necessary. We could have saved the entire galaxy, but we didn't because we didn't want to shoot our friend.
Yeah.
And I really feel like the bond between the Guardian and Ghost is going to be like the main emotional crux of the final shape of the actual expansion, not what comes after, just of the expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ghost says in the trailer, like, I didn't know, I had no idea what would happen when I first picked you.
Mm-hmm.
We know that ghosts don't have predestined guardians to go res. They raise someone that they feel is right.
Yeah. Do you think something's going to happen to Ghost?
I would put money on it. I would put money on something happening to Ghost in the final shape. We talk about sacrifice, and we've talked about like who do we think we're going to lose. I think Ghost is an underrated answer because people just assume, well, we have a Ghost shell, like Ghost can't die. Like, well, you can still have a Ghost as like part of your equipment. Like Ghost canonically could die.
Yeah.
And I think that would be like the emotional stake through the heart.
Yeah.
If Ghost were to die, as annoying as Ghost may be at times, like Ghost has been there for all the big moments.
Yeah.
And outside of Beyond Light, Ghost has been pretty okay.
Yeah. I wonder if like Ghost sacrifices themselves for like to save the Guardian so the Guardian can do something, and then like the Traveler will bring it back to life or something.
What if that's how the Darkness Zone for the final mission activates, is Ghost to sacrifice themselves so you have to fight without him?
Yeah.
I think that would be a really cool mechanic. And I do agree that I think that it gets undone almost immediately by the Traveler.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the Traveler give birth to like a new era of Guardians coming out of the final shape, amongst the assembled species there, essentially, like those who banded together to protect it and to save the light. Like, we're going to talk, now that Keitel basically fully trusts the Vanguard and their judgment. She didn't for so many years, but, Zavala and Ikora have continued, and the Guardian have proved themselves time and time and time again. And, counsel from Osiris and Saladin, and like, Keitel is willing to do what her father and what Gaul would never have been willing to do to save their people. She's willing to save her people and not risk annihilation and, ally with us. And the story arcs that we've gone down this is a long-winded way of me saying that, like, yeah, I want lore on the city, but I care less about the people of the city now and more about the new denizens of the city. Yeah. I want to see what happens after the final shape. It's not interesting to see what happens leading up to it. It's what happens afterwards with those three races living in harmony without the threat of war hanging over.
Yeah.
We've talked before about how we want to see, and I mean, well, you can even include the Awoken and the Exos in that, right? Like, how do all five of these species like coexist? Like, three of them already do, and the Elixni really have as well. How do you assimilate the Cabal into that? Or do the Cabal basically just say, we'll be the protectors of the Gate of the Black Garden, essentially. We're going back to Mars. Like, we basically say Mars is Cabal land, New Torah bottle. That feels like, what we're probably going to do. You've got the Awoken out in the reef still, and like, it really does feel like, the Elixni are probably going to venture home. Their home still exists. It's just ravaged.
Yeah.
I feel like, it's going to be like, some of them stay here and the others journey under, maybe they stay here under Spider. I can't believe I'm going to say that. Maybe Spider helps lead the ones in the city,
Yeah.
And, or like under Saint's leadership, and the others journey home with Mithrax.
Yeah. I also wonder if, some of these non light bearers will die and get ghosts too at the end. Like, what if Mithrax like sacrifices himself, or even Keitel? What if Keitel dies or something, and comes back as some sort of...
My concern with this is, and I voiced this during I don't know if I ever did this here on the show, but I definitely did this talking with several people who were like, oh, well, Amanda can always be rezzed by a ghost. She can always come back. Having that as a get out of jail free card sucks.
Yeah. I'm saying the people that like, especially like Mithrax, like, I mean, yeah, Amanda would be like kind of dumb to bring back, anyone who's sacrificed themselves. I'm like, even Cade to an extent is like, I get it, but like, what's really happening with Cade too, right? I mean,
well, to me, from the Final Shape trailers that we got and from the information we got at the showcase, it really feels like Cade is kind of appearing to us almost as like a Force ghost.
mm-hmm.
He's like really like Qui-Gon Jinning it over here,
Mm-hmm.
and that he's gonna like basically guide us.
Yeah.
I really hope that leads to like a really cool. I would love for it to be like a scene that like once you deplete the witness's health bar in the raid or something, like maybe you see apparitions of the fallen guardians taking him on. I think that could be really cool. I personally think there's a conspiracy that Cade is going to come back to life sometime during the year of the Final Shape for good, post Lance Reddick.
Yeah.
You don't bring Nathan Fillion in if you don't plan on using him past the Final Shape.
Right.
In my opinion, at least.
Yeah, I agree.
When he was so vocal about loving the role and wanting to return and things like that. And you don't hype it up as much as you have without having plans for him. Very much like why would you recast Zavala at all at that point?
Yeah.
You know? So if you're gonna have just these two absolute titans of the industry, no pun intended, you should absolutely have storylines planned for them.
Yeah.
And you have to. You know, they said when they introduced Keith David that, you know, he'll play Zavala in the Final Shape and beyond.
Yeah.
So, you know, whether that's like as an apparition in the Traveler or him actually hanging out in the tower, you know, there's a bunch of choices there. But we got plenty of time for speculation. Let's get to our final question here.
Final question.
And then we're going to jump into some lore corner tonight. Saint writes in, so with this season getting better and better, we were calling it Season of the W earlier. More armor sets than there has been in a while, tons of new weapons and actual fun activities. What is your biggest W of the season? Is it the raid, new weapons? Would it be BBs?
I mean, for me, I think the story is really cool, and I like sometimes like the story can be cool, but like the activities can be like really, you know, jarring, or you know, some of them aren't the best, right? But the story's great. I actually really like going through the story missions and, you know, doing the ritual stuff, and I actually am really enjoying that part of it.
Yeah, I think the story is excellent this season.
It opened in such a crazy fashion, watching Eris like grotesquely transform.
Yeah, talk about things that we didn't see coming. I think Season of the Deep and this season have had really good storytelling. Obviously, this feels like it's a little bit more put together. Like we're actually getting story week to week, and not just like, oh, we're gonna have a couple of activities and we'll circle back around in week 5. Like we're in week 3 and we've had substantial story in all 3, and we haven't made a lot of progress on the quest, which is really scaring me. We're at like stage 18 or 19 out of like 55, I think, and we're already done with week 3, and there's 7 weeks of story.
Yeah,
so. A little curious to see what happens there.
I bet a lot of those are just like talking to like the holograph machine.
Oh, I'm sure, but that's still like, I like that they're forcing you to do that too, because there's so much story that you miss if you never listened to the radio messages in the past.
Yeah.
I will say that for me, it's pretty close between the story and. I mean, I love so much about this. This is hands down my favorite season, probably since like
Risen.
I don't want to go all the way back to Splicer, but I might have to.
Yeah,
I might have to go all the way back to Splicer.
Yeah, I mean, you like Seraph too, though.
Oh man, Seraph was really fucking good.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay. Seraph was good enough that I can't skip over Seraph. This is pretty this is an A+ season as far as I'm concerned already. The weapons, I don't really love the weapons.
Yeah.
Outside of I think the Scout is really fun.
That's the only one I've been using. Like I tried the heavy machine gun, and it just wasn't.
I've heard that the LMG, if you get the right roll on it, the LMG is actually pretty good.
Yeah, but I haven't gotten a good roll on it at all.
You got to get a good roll. You got to get it craftable. The Fusion, I hear, is really good. I have gotten a couple rolls. I just need to play with it. I don't like hand cans. Here, that's good. I guess just like for me personally, it's not underwhelming, but I'd much rather go farm out the raid than farm out these weapons.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So for me, I got to say it's kind of a 3-way tie between the narrative, I can't believe this. If you had asked me this question 10 days ago, I would not have, even last Thursday, I would not have said that Crota's End was going to be one of my highlights of the season.
Yeah.
I audibly groaned and rolled my eyes when that was the rate. I dismissed it on this very show in our reactions.
Yeah.
I'm so thrilled that I was wrong, though. And then, I mean, number 3, it's something that a lot of people don't like, but I really love. I love the Deck of Whispers. I think this is the coolest fucking thing.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled. So, A+ season, man. Just like across the board, I like all 3 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Corey, let's take a quick trip to the lore corner.
Let's do it. Lore corner.
Because this has gone on a lot longer than I thought I was going to do tonight. Nothing major tonight. We're going to read from the Acroamatus, which is one of the hive sparrows you can get this season. I believe you can get it out of the season pass. Ikora took a deep breath to compose herself. She had been dreading the conversation she was about to initiate. She ran through all the anticipated objections and corresponding de-escalation tactics in her mind. It was very important to keep the situation in hand at any cost. Once she had steeled herself, she nodded to her ghost, Ophicucius, who engaged the hollow projector. I actually don't know how to pronounce that. Who engaged the hollow projector. A moment later, the bust of Empress Keitel illuminated Ikora's office. Even translucent and digitized, the Empress was an imposing figure. With a steady voice and unwavering gaze, Ikora detailed the Vanguard's plan to resurrect Savathun in exchange for the knowledge on how to breach the Witness's portal. Once she finished, Ikora braced for the Empress's fury. Instead, she was met with pensive silence. When Keitel finally spoke, her tone was measured. There was a time, not so long ago, when the Witch Queen's resurrection would have seemed like betrayal. Ikora held her breath, but after working with Eris aboard the Leviathan, after speaking with Gaul, the Empress lowered and shook her tusks as a gesture of uncertainty. I must accept the ways of light and dark are beyond my reckoning. Kyle raised her tusks once more and hardened her voice. I trust Erisborn as I would my own Mythkeeper. If the Vanguard agrees that this is the only way to stop the Witness, then so be it. My legions will not stand in your way. My thanks, Empress, Ikora replied with obvious relief. Besides, the Empress concluded, if this plan brings me one step closer to crushing Xivu Arath's skull, then it has my blessing. This is pretty important for a number of reasons. Just like as she notes with the Leviathan incident just last summer, she would have freaked out if we had told her about this. Mm-hmm. You know, I think we very easily forget it's Keitel's legions that are attacking the throne world that we have to kill in order to get in there. Mm-hmm. You know, that the whole sequence of events in Risen is kicked off because we basically just went postal on a small legion of Keitel's most loyal soldiers. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's important for us to get inside Keitel's mind, especially with how we've been talking, you know, is there a possibility for somebody else to come along as a light bearer? I know we all think that it's going to be Mithrax. Is there a possibility for Keitel? And I think that, like, here we kind of get hints that it could be, you know, she's accepted, you know, the ways of the light and dark are beyond my comprehension. She's one of the very few characters who isn't attempting to understand or control it. Whereas Gaul tried to seize it and paid the price for it, and Callus sought to manipulate it, Keitel comes with a hand of friendship, ironically.
Yeah.
Keitel only ever wanted to team up. Granted, she saw herself at the head of the table instead of, you know, Zavala.
Yeah.
But instead, you know, Saladin may serve on her war council. She's on Zavala's.
Yeah.
You know, she is outside of Mithrax. And I would even say they have the better fighting force. The Cabal do. The Cabal are kind of the front lines for everyone right now. Like, they have time and time again. I mean, I think back to fighting alongside her in the Lightfall final mission.
Yeah.
When you go to confront Callus, I think of how, like, even 2 years ago, that would have been something like before Witch Queen, we wouldn't have seen that. Mm-hmm. You know, we thought that Beyond Light was such a great time to introduce Mithrax to everybody on a large scale, and they did it in a season, and that's fine. Same with Keitel. But Keitel has continued to have relevance in both expansions in a big way.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just that's something that can't be taken for granted. And the fact that Ikora also has enough respect for her to tell her what's going on, but Ikora still knows how she can and probably will react.
Mm-hmm.
Ikora's not over here going around her back like she may have last year to Saladin.
Yeah.
Or having Zavala do it. Ikora's doing it herself. And it's a huge sign of growth, I think, for Kaido's character to trust Eris unconditionally. That is trust that really only Ikora and Mara have in her.
Yeah.
So add Kaido to the party.
Add Kaido to the party.
Add Kaido to the party. It's a maxed out party for I don't know how to describe it. Just 4 absolute units.
Yeah.
4 of the most powerful characters in the Destiny saga. And there you go. If you don't like that, you just don't like Bungie storytelling.
This is gonna be pretty nuts to see if they do like a big opening cutscene where the war finally kind of starts and us going into the Traveler. Like obviously that's going into the Traveler is probably going to be the opening cutscene, I would assume.
I really hope that we actually have. I do agree that's going to be in the first mission. I really hope that the beginning of the mission is us talking with our allies.
Yeah.
I don't think that's something that should be relegated to a season. That's something that, like, to give context to people who are jumping in and didn't play the seasons, I think that needs to be something that we do in person.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine everybody assembled aboard the helm for a war council.
Yeah.
It's like you've got Zavala and Ikora, you've got Salad Man, you've got Kaido, you've got Mithrax and Ido, you've got, I don't know, Cabal legions are there in the hangar. You got you see some of the Elixni like putting on splicer gauntlets, like they're all ready to go. If Eris makes it out, maybe Eris is chilling there. I imagine Savathun is just hanging out outside the window with Amaru.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a couple of her Lucent Hive are in there, as representatives. Maybe she sent like the Dark Blade or something in there to talk with us after we've killed him 15 times.
Yeah.
And I like to imagine that pretty much everybody else is going to be there. With maybe them leaving the city in the care of like Banshee and Hawthorne or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe Saint and Osiris stay behind. I can't imagine Saint's missing the final fight, but I imagine that just being like every NPC that we can imagine is there.
Yeah, I would.
Anyone that we've encountered that's still alive. I'd love to see some Guardians we've never met in the flesh before show up.
Yeah.
I want Drifter's Hall just sitting out there. Like, you have like this whole assembled fleet of like the Elixni catches and like Spider ship. I like to imagine Spider's ship is over there. You've got like Mithrax's flagship. You've got Kaido's flagship and her ships. You've got the human fleet. Like all the Guardian ships are assembling. And then I just like to imagine that the fucking Hall is just coming across. He's going to take an army of fucking Taken into the Traveler. God. Good old Jermaine.
Gambit finally pays off. All those moats are going.
Gambit. Yeah, you banked all the moats, brother. I like to just imagine that he like detaches the Hall and drops it as like a nuclear bomb on the Witness's stronghold.
Yeah.
You get up there and it's all friendly Taken that are fighting with you.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it would be so... Imagine riding a Taken ogre into battle.
That'd be crazy, man.
But that would never happen because that would be a great thing.
Oh.
And at that point, I'd be demanding to know where my mech suit is. Corey, get me out of here. I'm playing with fan fiction in my mind.
You are. I was entertained. That's why I didn't stop you.
No. We got to stop this. Yeah. We got to stop this.
Man, we hit almost another 2-hour show, Josh.
We did. That's why when I saw the timer, I was like, oh shit, we need to go.
Yeah.
We need to really go.
I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to this episode of Tower Casuals. You can find new episodes every Friday on podcast services and YouTube. Josh, thank you for your time. As always, where can we find you?
Twitter at Josh_Finn.
And you can find me at I am Corey.
Still there.
Yeah, still there. You can find me at I am Corey in HD on social media platforms, maybe. Although I've been off social media for the most part for the last couple of weeks, and it's been really nice. You can check out our Xbox podcast every other Tuesday called Xbox Casuals. We encourage you to go download it or stream it or whatever you do with it. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. Until next time, we love you. Goodbye.